So let's skip the intro and go straight to the passive skill tree. Starting as a duelist, and when I ascended, I start by ascending to take Painforged, then I took Violent Combatant, then I took Gladiator's Violence, and then I took Blood in the Eye for some more damage against bleeding target, and I have 50% chance to cause an enemy to start bleeding, which are a huge damage boost. And then I went for the attack speed, physical damage and life. I went down to take all of the armor, evasion and life nodes here. I took Master of the Arena, Bravery, Art of the Gladiator. I have Defiance, this whole big, all of these melee damage with shields. And I took Golem's Blood. I also have Cloak and Chain, a pretty nice note. And I also have Vitality Void, and this is the only mana I need in this skill tree. With just this little amount of mana per damage I do, I can sustain my Blade Flurry indefinitely without any problems. I also have Golem's Blood, I have Torso, and I have Retaliation. And then I went all this way here to take Fatal Blade, and I took all of these nice notes here, which give me a really good boost to my damage and crit chance. Moving up, I went this way here, went up to the big life wheel here, took the whole life wheel, took Path of the Warrior, I have Berserking, and I also have Euros of it here, which increases my block chance. You're gonna have increased block chance, and then you're gonna just have attack speed and melee damage with full life, or melee damage with a shield, or just melee damage or physical damage. When down here I have Hard Knocks. I need some intelligence, but if you have enough intelligence on your gear, you don't need this one. I have Bloodless. I have Unrelenting Stance, so I can't get stunned. I have Solidarity to increase my block chance, and I went all the way here, took the Warrior's Blood, took this nice life and armor notes here. I took Heart of the Warrior. I took Born to Fight, Strong Aim. Also have another socket here, increases my block chance, increases my attack speed and AoE damage. I also have Juggernaut to increase my armor and life. I have Barbarism, more life again. And I hold this nice crit wheel here. And that's pretty much my passive skill tree, and I'm currently level 91. In the end of this video I will show how powerful this character are, but now let's take a look at my gear. You need to use a sword, and you're gonna try to get as high crit chance, attack speed and physical damage as you can get. This sword here cost me about 50 chaos, but you don't need as powerful sword as this one, and there are far more powerful sword than this one. So you can still get a lot more damage than I have if you have even more powerful weapon. But again, try to get as high crit chance, attack speed and physical damage as you can afford. For my helmet I'm using Abyssus for a colossal amount of damage. Give a huge amount of critical strike multiplier and critical and flat physical damage, but it have a drawback. It increases the physical damage you take, so things like bleed and traps in the labyrinth, be careful with that. Other than that, it's a very powerful helmet and not that expensive. For my shield, I'm using this shield here. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. But you can see it on screen here, how it actually looks like. And it's a really good shield because it makes you don't need any accuracy. You have 100% chance to hit your enemies. And also give a small amount of life, decent block chance, and adds a huge amount of cold damage to your counterattacks like Reckoning and Riposte. For my amulet, I'm using both defensive and offensive amulet. It gives me a good amount of crit chance and crit multiplier, decent amount of life, some fire resist, and a little bit of flat physical damage. With my rings, I have life, a small amount of resistance, some small amount of flat physical damage, and some stats in form of strength and dexterity. You're just gonna have as much dexterity and intelligence you need to be able to use your gear. Same thing with other amulets. For my gloves, I'm using Malagar's Virtue. I think I pronounced that right. For a good amount of crit chance and crit multiplier, also have a decent amount of attack speed, and the dexterity absolutely helps to use a high dexterity requiring weapon like my weapon here. For my belt, I'm using Rustic Stash for some added physical damage, and I have some armor and some life on it, and even some resistance I needed. It's a pretty good belt, and try to get a belt like this if you can afford it. For my boots, just using defensive boots, try to get some boots with movement speed, the resistance you need, and as high life and armor as you can afford and get. For my armor, which are probably my most expensive item, I paid like 2 exalts for this item here. You don't need as powerful item as this one. Just try to get the armor which have as high armor as you can get, and as good life and the resistance you need. And also, you don't have to have a 6 link. You can use a 5 link instead, sorry. And it doesn't have to be a pure armor. You can use an armor energy shield or an armor evasion armor. And you can even use a unique armor like Belly of the Beast. It would be even a better choice in this one, but that armor is absolutely too expensive, so I have this one instead. And finally, for my flask, I'm currently now using one basalt flask for some physical damage reduction. I'm using one at CS Promise, really cheap to get, by the way. I'm using Rumi's Concoction, really defensive flask, I really like it. And it's a little bit expensive, but not that expensive. And then I'm just using some internal flask, one with increased recovery speed, to give me a long-term and fast recovery. And I also have a Surgeon Flask to remove bleed, and always carries a Surgeon Flask to remove bleed. It will save your life many times, because you take increased damage from bleed because of abysses. So that's pretty much my gear. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. Let's take a look at my skill gems. I'm gonna start with my main setup, which are Blade Flurry. And Blade Flurry are supported by added fire damage, increased critical strikes, melee physical damage, physical to lightning, and weapon elemental damage. The auras I'm using are using 2 mana reserve, which are Hatred and Herald of Ash. I also have a movement setup, which are Whirling Blades, and I'm also using Leap Slam, and they are both linked to faster attacks. I have a trigger gam setup for counter attacks, which are Reckoning and Riposte, and they are both supported by melee physical damage. I have 3 damage taken setup. The first one is damage taken together with Immortal Call and increased duration. I have my first custom damage taken to level 4. My second custom damage taken are a level 1 custom damage taken linked to Arctic Breath to slow down enemies and crit shield ground, and Assassin's Mark to increase my crit chance against enemies and even have a chance to give me power charges, which increases my damage. And finally, I have another custom damage taken setup, level 1. It's linked to Temporal Shield, so I get 3% increased block chance when this one is triggered. And finally, for the bandits, I helped and killed. In normal, I helped Oak to get life. In cruel, I helped Kratin to get attack speed. And finally, in merciless, I just killed all of them and took the passive skill points. So, let's see this character in action, and I thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know.